What's going on, everybody? A little lunchtime check-in. I wanted to check in and catch up with you guys. This is one of those days that I talk about when I say I just can't put it down, right? Golf was work, it was hobby, it was life. I got into the differences between bent and Bermuda grass. Do you not think that weighs into how I fit? I have two different sets of wedges to play down on Bermuda grass. I have a wedge that has a leading edge that's worn down and a lot sharper than I'll play up here, especially at a golf course that's soft and fast, right? Those are the scariest golf courses, the ones that are soft but still fast, because you don't know what they're going to do. One green checks, the next green rolls out, the next green skips. Guys that just water blindly, it's just kind of tough to tell what anything is going to do. I'll never forget when I started at Spring Valley and the nickname was Hurricane Dan. That golf course from the golf shop looked immaculate, right? It was tightly mowed, it was green, it looked like it was great. But you start talking to the golf pros and you say, what's going on? Why is everybody complaining? And they say, oh, he just soaks the shit out of it. So you go out there and you play. The first time I was out there, I'll never forget. The first hole is a par 5 where the green kind of runs up away from you. So I threw a ball in the apron. Now, these aprons were perfect. You thought you could putt off them, but you couldn't, and I'll explain to you why in a little bit. But I threw a ball down short of the green, and these things were like mint. It was like a pool table. It was tight. You couldn't find a blade of grass. And then you hit a shot, and it kind of goes splat. There was nothing underneath. There were no roots. So for the rest of my time there, anytime I was inside 50 yards in that apron, closely mowed area, I played it like a bunker shot. I used the bounce of the club and I full swang it. Guys would laugh at me. It actually fit there as well because the greens were all elevated. But I'd take divots like this from within 10 yards off the apron and everybody would think I was doing something foolish. And yeah, you hate taking divots that close, but that's what the shot dictated, right? So do you not think that plays into the way I fit? While you're warming up, ever been in a bay with me when I wasn't asking you questions? No, I'm asking, what do you like? What do you not like? What are you looking for? What's your miss? What do you struggle with? Where do you play your golf? If you tell me golf courses that I know are soft and slow around the greens, I'm probably going to lean towards more bounce with a more rounded, dull leading edge, right? If you tell me you play at a golf course that has a lot of runoffs, Pinehurst, for example, Bermuda grass, I'm going to go with something with a little bit sharper leading edge, right? You want to be able to dig through some turf, especially for guys coming up here from the north going down there to play on Bermuda. Everybody says, oh, I have too much bounce, but a lot of time it has nothing to do with the bounce. It's the leading edge in the bounce triangle, right? The bounce on the sole and how much is it tilted. That little triangle right there has a lot more to do with whether you stick it in the ground or you skull shots. These are just things that I think about. And when I play different golf courses, I'm going to talk about the conditions because it's part of my job and it's what I do. So if you think I'm picking on anyone in particular, you know what way I'm pointing, sitting here in my storage unit. I'm not. They are a perfect example of it. The other thing to look for is how much greens have shrunk, right? How far are the green surfaces away from the sprinkler heads, right? Well, a lot of those balls that are getting hung up in collars and now even first cut of rough shouldn't stay there. That should funnel down onto the green. You hit a shot that you should have been rewarded for and you weren't. You were penalized because the conditions are too soft. So these are the things that I think about. All right, this guy plays here. He's going to get a lot of those shots where he needs a little soft edge just to kind of, get it out of the collar onto the green and let it trickle. He needs to learn how to use the bounce. He needs to understand the difference between a wet, fast green that's going to stick, a dry, fast green that's going to skip, then stick, or a completely soaked green that's just going to skip and roll out because it takes the spin off it. So, when I'm fitting guys and thinking about golf shots and thinking about my setup, and when I practice off of a longer mat or a shorter mat, this all goes into my lessons, my fittings. Anybody that's been following along or that's had a lesson or a fitting in my bay with me over the last 15, 20 years, I'm not saying anything I haven't said in the past, right? I've never told anybody to swing easy, actually the opposite. Tom May, I don't think he's on Instagram anymore, but he DM'd me and said, best advice you ever gave me, stop swinging like a pussy. So, you know, I stick to my guns. I don't flip-flop. I tell it like it is. It's never personal. I never mean to attack anybody. But, you know, when you're at a high-level classic and you're shitting it up, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. You know, listen, there's certain things that I say that I don't like about Triggs. They're at least trying to do something about it. They're renovating some bunkers. You know, everywhere you go, everywhere you look, I saw Allendale's got some renovations going. Little Marion had a couple tees under renovation. You know, everywhere you go, Reservation did a irrigation system this year. Charles River, Worcester, everywhere, Thorny Lee, they're all doing something to the golf course. They're taking advantage of the COVID boom, and they're going back to the basics and getting golf to where it was. Go on Google Maps. Look at where the bunkers are. What's the toughest shot in golf? A long bunker shot. Well, if you're at one of those golf courses where they've shrunken greens over time, well, now every bunker shot becomes a long bunker shot. So these are things that I think of when we're talking about golf. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a crazy person, but this is what I came up with, right? This was my career. This is everything I've looked at when I was a kid, you know, thinking about golf course architecture, going to architectural drafting at New Bedford Folk. You know, it's always been part of what I like and what I don't like. You know, loved it when the guys at Fenway did the socks in the infield, or Pittsburgh when they do the P around the mound. You know, it's cool. It's art. It's just something that we all look at. I mean, hell, look at, you get experts like Brad Klein with thousands of followers. Guy was a PGA Tour caddy and then just kind of fell in love with architecture and golf. So, yep, I don't rant politics. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I have different opinions. I might offend a person or two here or there, but that's me. It's who I am, and it's never going to change. Let's go.